define fairness?
You guys want to answer that first?
Well, in the context of this debate, we define it as being a proportionate burden to the amount of money that they already have. Therefore, what we were saying was that the flat tax in itself is disproportionate regarding the amount of money that you already have, and thus it's unfair in that sense. And thus, the fairness that we were trying to push on our side was, I guess, proportionality would be the answer to your question.
I also want to hear from the other side, but I have a question to the opposition. Would that entail that the consumption tax per se is morally repugnant because it...
Taking it to the extreme, yes, but then that wasn't what we were arguing because it would create too much burden on our side.
But is that the logical conclusion of what you were saying?
If you were to take it to the extreme, yes, but then we were trying to make a distinction in the sense that the raising of it is going to create that burden, because it's a new burden that's created when the people aren't used to it.
Sure.
Whereas in the context of the states where...
Thank you. I want to hear from the House speakers in terms of how do you know when a taxation is fair and when a taxation is unfair?
Thank you very much for your question. This is a great question, and I will say it's a very difficult thing to define. One of the stances of the government side is that you have to define fairness with a long-term view. So sometimes it is fair for the individual to try and help out the group. There are responsibilities on both sides. This is sort of almost social contract-esque, that sometimes the individual must support an institution like the government and things like that. I will say that it's the question of the proportionate burden, I think, is secondary to a question of should the tax be equal to everyone. A consumption tax is a percentage. It is flat. If you consume a certain amount, you have to pay a certain amount in the taxes. We come from an American system where tax is based on income. This is not a fair system. It is not proportionate because some people can change their reporting of taxes, and often it is said in the United States that the richest, the people who have the most income, pay the least amount. That's not fair. That's not fair. You should pay based on how many goods and services you use. That's the thought of a consumption tax. One famous American comedian once said that tax day in America is the day ordinary Americans send their money to Washington and the day wealthy Americans send their money to the Cayman Islands. That's not fair.
Any other questions we have?